Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Johnson Crow, and I am here today with Janine Adams, who is a professional organizer, and she also has a wonderful blog at organizeyourfamilyhistory.com. Okay, professional organizer.
Yes.
Okay, where have you been all my life? So, a lot of people, myself included, we've been doing genealogy for a while, and we have this habit of going to the library, going to the archives, and making a lot of copies, bringing them home, and just adding to the pile.
That's right.
Where do we even start to organize all this paper that we've collected?
Well, I think that you need to think about whether you want to use paper files or whether you want to use binders, for example. So for most people who are using paper in their organizing their genealogy, those are the two choices. So pick one of those, and then think about how you want to organize. If you want a folder, or if you want to do it by surname, by locality, there are a lot of options. And here's the thing that's really important. There's no one right way to do it. There's the way that works for you. And make it easy on yourself so that you'll actually do it, because those piles of papers aren't doing you any good, right? I think that we need to think about what we're going to do with the data that's represented by the pile of papers. So a birth certificate is not just something you check off your list, right? It's something you glean all the information you can from, and then you file it. So having a software, genealogy software, where you can actually place that information and build your family tree is really important as well, I think.
Okay, great. Something that you said that there's no right way to organize. So let's say that we go with the folders. That's what I tend to do. I do have a couple of binders that have some special little projects in them, but for the folders, if you do go by name, do you make a different folder for each person, for each family, for each surname? How do you approach
Right.
that?
Well, again, there's no one right way, but when I was using paper files, I now do it all digitally, but when I was using paper files, I did by couple, and I color coded by branch of the family. So my 4 grandparents' surnames, each one got a color, and then the file label had that color on it. So I would have all those folks together by that branch of the family. But it gets tricky, right? Because when the kids grow up, they get their own folders, and you have to decide if you're going to keep them as a child on the census with their parents and with them as adults or not. And there's decisions to be made, but again, no one right way to do it. So be kind to yourself in the effort.
That's a great point. Be kind to yourself
Yeah.
and just go through this. What do you do as people find out in the family that you are the family historian? Somehow people think that you are now the repository for everything that they find. What do you suggest people do when they have a mix of papers from the library along with those original things that grandma has given us, that original church baptism record? How do we need to treat those differently, or can we put them together?
Well, I think you can put them together unless it's a really delicate artifact that maybe needs a little special care. So you could invest in archival file folders for your whole collection, but that might get kind of expensive. So you might isolate those very special documents, but perhaps photocopy them and put the photocopies in with the photocopies from the library so that you have a complete record in that file.
Oh, okay. So have sort of a photocopy that's just a regular research use copy,
Right.
but keep the original someplace
In an archival
safe.
box or something like that.
That's a great suggestion. Where do we go if we're thinking about, okay, maybe I should be thinking digital? Where do we start thinking about digitizing? If we're going to, if we have all these photocopies that we've made, but we want to go paperless, do we just start to scan from the beginning of our binder and work all the way through? Or how do you approach that?
Well, I think the first thing is to think about what you're going to do from this moment forward, and then worry about the stuff that you already have.
Oh,
So if you
okay.
change your habits now, so for example, if you're mostly doing online research and you're printing documents from Family Search, stop printing and instead save. What you need to do though is to have a file naming convention that works for you and a file structure that works for you, so that you can immediately rename the file and then file it. So you have the confidence that you'll find it again.
That's a really great suggestion to start thinking forward. And then later, as you get more comfortable and see what works, then go back and scan those things that you already had.
Right, and you could consider if you're in this journey, when you actually access a file from piece of paper from your files, go ahead and scan it then.
Oh.
And then that way you know that the stuff you're using most often is part of your electronic resources. And then to answer your question though, you could either just go through your binders, you could do a surname at a time. I'm a big fan of using a timer. So I would say, okay, I'm going to scan for 15 minutes a day, and then just mark in your binder where you left off or in your file folders, and just get through it.
That's a great, so instead of looking at this great big huge project that has years and years of paper,
Right.
just chunk away at a little bit at a time.
Because if you think, I'll wait until I'm going to take a week off of work and do it, you're never going to do that, right?
Yeah.
You'll have something better to do in that week. So yeah, just give it a little at a time and it will eventually get done.
Do you think that same method is true with putting our paper files together?
Absolutely. It's true for organizing everything. It really is. Decluttering your closet, anything. But yeah, absolutely for filing, if you have a huge to file pile, just go through it a little at a time.
Excellent.
And again, if you do have that huge to file pile, make a backlog. Worry about and make sure you file your stuff as it comes in from this point forward, and then work on your backlog.
Excellent. Those are some really great suggestions, and I feel better now that it's okay to just chip away at it a little bit at a time.
Absolutely.
Janine, if people want to find out more about you and your organizing and whatnot, where can they find out more?
They can go to organizeyourfamilyhistory.com, or if they're interested in my organizing, my business there is peaceofmindorganizing.com.
Excellent. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank
I know
you.
you've given me some peace of mind with
good.
some of my organizing needs. And thank you for joining us. If you want to find out more genealogy and family tips and tricks, please join me over at my blog at amyjohnsoncrow.com.